Welcome back. Most investors are out here begging for hard money or draining their personal credit to chase deals. Meanwhile, Ari Page's clients are quietly stacking six figures in business credit, no personal guarantees, no hits to their score, and using it like it's cash. Ari is the CEO of Fund and Grow and has helped investors lock down over 1.5 billion in funding. It's actually 1.9. I just looked at the website. And today he's dropping the three biggest advantages of business credit cards and why the banks don't want you to know the game. So if you're serious about scaling, stop playing small. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Closers Club. All right. Listen, most investors have no idea how powerful business credit can be, but you know. So let's talk about that. What are the biggest things that they're missing, and why do banks keep this so quiet?
Well, first, Dave, thank you so much for having me on. Excited to be here. And yeah, it's a very underutilized funding tool. So everyone has heard of the mortgages and hard money loans and all the other forms of business lines of credit, home equity lines of credit. And all of these forms of funding are all secured funding. And it's all great funding. You know, hard money loan might cost you an arm and a leg. It could be a little dangerous. A mortgage might cost you, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of the mortgage. But all of those forms of funding are useful and needed for certain points of certain projects. Like if you're buying a home, you might want to use a mortgage, or if you're doing buying a new property for flipping, you might want to use a hard money loan. Now, with what Fund and Grow does, Fund and Grow creates gap funding that can be used for a whole plethora of different things that aren't related specifically to one project or one deal or one thing, like the way a mortgage is, like the way a hard money loan is. So business credit cards are extremely easy to get approved for. So unlike mortgages and hard money loans and other things, which have a whole plethora of different types of qualifications, with business credit cards, they're easy to get approved for. And then you can use it in any which way you need to in your business. And so the key is, how do I get approved for the high limit credit amounts of these business credit cards? How do I then get it at a good interest rate? And then how can I use a business credit card for things that you can't traditionally use a credit card to purchase?
So for people that have never used business credit, what's the biggest myth that's holding them back from applying and getting that and utilizing that in their business?
Well, we see people coming to us all the time that just don't think they qualify for it. They've got good credit scores. They've gone and applied for different forms of credit, like different types of lines of credit or business lines of credit. And they had good credit personally, but they got turned down. And so they wonder, how can I possibly get access to business credit cards if I've already tried all these other forms of funding? And so business credit cards are a completely different animal. Credit cards in general are a completely different animal, and they're very easy to get approved for. And the key is, how do I get approved for the high limit cards and then utilize the 0% period, and then also be able to purchase the things that I need to purchase, given that many contractors don't even accept a credit card? How do I use a business credit card to actually invest in my business?
Yeah. And I think that's so important because, the hard money loans, the mortgages, all of those things, the line, they take so long to get, where credit cards it's a much shorter ramp up time, I guess, to get these things up and running. And then you can use it for literally anything you need in your business, which is amazing.
Yeah. So you don't have to have a specific deal already picked out. You don't have to have a property picked out, in terms of getting a hard money loan or a DSCR loan or a mortgage. All of those require having a lot of paperwork up front. Business credit cards are you applying, getting access to funding that you can have ready for whatever deal comes your way.
Right. And not even the deal, whether it's marketing or, expenses or, buying office furniture or a computer, whatever you need, that funding is there.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people really love to put on their business credit card is pay per click marketing. They're marketing their properties, and there's no better thing to use than a credit card when paying for pay per click, and a whole variety of different types of marketing. But there's so many things. Like if you think of a rehab, 60% of the cost of a rehab could be payroll.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing to put onto a business credit card,
Really?
especially so there's these different payment processors that we use. So I can just give them away. One of them is called Melio Payments. One of them is called Plastic. One of them is called Zill Money. One of them called Bluevine. Another one's called Bill.com. All of these different payment services allow you to swipe your credit card with payment service, and then they will send a check or an ACH or a wire to the company you're trying to purchase something from. So they become the intermediary to run your credit card and then to pay the service that you're attempting to pay. And so all you have to do is get an invoice from the company that you're paying. You upload it into your Zill money account or Bill.com account, Bluevine. A lot of people already use these bill payment services for other things. They don't realize that it can also be used to add your credit card to and then to pay a vendor.
And I know we're going to talk about this at the very end, but also you get the rewards points for running all that through all of your credit cards.
Yeah. And so the rewards points are kind of important for a variety of reasons, because first off, this is spending that small businesses have to do anyway. Do you have to market your property?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have to rehab your property?
100%.
Yeah. You have to pay your payroll. That we're not making up spending here. This is spending that you're doing that you can shift onto a business credit card instead of pulling cash out of your bank account. Right. Now you're letting your cash stack up while you're putting it onto a 0% business credit card. And you're able to use the different payment services to do that. And when you're doing that, now you're getting cash back. And it could be up to 2.5% cash back. It's pretty common to get 1% cash back, especially for the payment services. So if you have to use a payment service, and of course, many times you can just take your business credit card and just go and swipe it, go to Home Depot and buy what you need. There is no payment service needed. Just in the case that you're trying to buy something from a contractor or a vendor that doesn't accept credit card, then you could use the payment services. Now, in that case, it could cost, like, for example, if you want to pay an escrow account directly, the company Plastic allows you to take a business credit card and they will do a wire to a escrow account directly.
Really?
Or an ACH directly from your credit card. You can even put multiple credit cards in there and say, do 10 from here, 5 from there, 7 from there.
Wow.
And then it'll fund the escrow account directly. And so this is spending that our clients are doing anyway. Why not get cash back on that, which will actually help you offset the cost of that service, of the Plastic service, of taking the cash off the card and wiring it over to the escrow account. Because of course they're going to charge a percentage. So in many cases, the cash back rewards are enough to cover the cost of the payment service. But in some cases, we have people that are just making thousands of dollars every quarter, just getting cash back from spending that they were forced to do anyway. Things like their facility, their electric bill, their pay-per-click marketing, all that stuff that they would have been spending on anyway.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's fascinated by that, because a lot of people don't understand how you can actually use the credit cards to fund the real estate, right? So I like that, using that where it can go directly into escrow accounts and to use it for payroll. Because of course everybody gets that you can go to Home Depot or 84 Lumber and swipe the credit card, right? So this is actual stuff that you can use to run your business. So let's talk about this, like how business credit cards show up on your personal report. Like how does that give investors more firepower? Because it's not, I want to be sure I'm correct here, it's not affecting your personal credit?
Okay, so it's not going to appear on clients' personal credit reports, but I do need to correct something from the very beginning, which is that these cards are personally guaranteed.
Okay, gotcha. Which makes sense.
They are personally guaranteed, but they won't show up on the client's credit report unless they default on them.
Gotcha.
So if you default on the card, then yes, it's going to show up on your credit report. Now, Fund and Grow does help clients with non-recourse funding, which is non-PG funding that would never come back on you personally. But we first help clients get up to $250,000 of the credit cards. Then we move them into non-recourse funding. So the Fund and Grow building, for example, it's about a $2 million building. We bought that completely using non-recourse corporate credit.
Wow.
I didn't have to personally sign for this or for that building. And I bought another 3-unit building with the exact same type of funding, where it's all corporate credit. Now that type of funding we help our clients with too, but you need to have revenues, and there's other things that you need in order to qualify for those types of loans. But those are the cream of the crop. Those are the ones that eventually we want all of our clients to get to, where we first start with the cash available credit cards. And when I say cash available, I'm saying not that we're actually extracting or pulling the cash off the card. We're just making it so that you can use the card to pay anything that you need to pay.
Right.
There's no reason to pull the cash off because you can just pay for anything that you could pay for cash. You can just use a payment service for, and then that way we're not going against what the banks want. It's very important that we go with what the banks want. That's another thing about Fund and Grow, is that we're very big on following all the different basically laws and policies that are laid out. But there's a lot of companies out there, David, that are calling the banks, pretending to be the client. They're doing a lot of things in the credit card stacking space that's quite frankly not good for the client and not good for their business. And people can go and see these different FTC cases, like against Seek Capital and Nudge, which was Dean Graziosi's company. And we've learned a lot from what those companies were doing. The FTC has made it quite clear on how to legally do credit card stacking, how to do it the proper way, and how to utilize the different services that are there so that you don't have to say things like, we're going to extract the cash. We don't need to.
Yeah, I think what we do as investors is risky enough. We have plenty of places where states are individually, trying to regulate what we're doing, that we don't need to run any extra risks by doing or working with somebody who is doing things a little bit hokey. So that's one reason why we definitely recommend you guys, because I know it's just much easier to understand what the rules are and just operate within them than to try to skirt them. But you mentioned a couple times credit card stacking, right? For those that don't understand, like, how exactly does that work? How much can an investor realistically access in 60 days? Like, talk about the credit card stacking.
So credit card stacking is just like one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that everybody watching this video probably has a credit card of some kind. So I'm going to just break down exactly what credit card stacking is from such an easy perspective that anybody can now do it. So let's imagine that you have a Chase card for, let's just say it's 10,000. So you have a Chase card for 10,000 and you've had it open for about a year. Now I'm going to put this into the psychology of credit stacking of 0%. So the year represents the 0% for 12 months. So here we are approaching the end of the year where this $10,000 card is now approaching an interest rate. So this is how you do the card stacking process. You go back to the exact same bank that you're dealing with, where you already have a $10,000 card, and you apply for the same card, the same product. Most banks will allow that. Now, if they don't allow you to if they don't allow you to apply for the exact same product, then apply for a very similar one to it. So once you've gotten approved for that card, and if you already have good credit, you've already got approved for the last card and you've used it responsibly, there's no reason why you wouldn't get approved for something. So let's say that you get approved for 5,000. They already gave you 10,000 over here, but now they just gave you 5,000 because, hey, they gave you 10,000 last year. So we take the card. Now we have two separate cards, a $10,000 card that has the interest rate that's about to hit, and a brand new 0% card that has 0% for 12 months, but it only has a $5,000 limit. So I can't take my whole balance. So what we do is we call and we merge them together into one $15,000 account. Now we're back to only having one card again from that institution. We merge the card into the older card so that we keep the longer seasoning. The seasoning is the length the account of time has been open. And the 0% that was only on the $5,000 account, because you've merged it, is now on the $15,000 account. And this is the only way to take an old account, to get 0% over top of it, to grow the limit. This is card stacking. And a lot of different companies try to copy what we do. And we figured this out a long time ago. We're the ones that have been doing it for the longest time. I don't know, David, if you've ever heard of other ones trying to copy it.
I've never heard of that strategy. When I thought you were going to say card stacking was, I get a bunch of credit cards and, like you talked about, I use a little bit off of this one, a little bit off of all the different cards. Never dreamed that it was merging two cards together. That is brilliant.
So now this works even differently on the business side, because on the business side, they only allow for a Visa business and a MasterCard business from each one of these banks. They don't just allow for unlimited ones. So once we have a Visa card, then we are able to do that same strategy where we apply for the MasterCard, 6 months, 12 months down the road, merge them together. Then we're back to just having the Visa card. Now we can apply for the Master again. And so this card stacking process works with every bank. Now, add on top of that, the idea that we're going to grow each individual limit, but we also are going to apply for 5 different credit lines at the same time. We're going to go for American
Okay.
Express, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, Elan, maybe other ones. The point is that we're not only doing the credit stacking on one bank with one card, we're doing it across the board. This is how we build up to 250,000 of business
Mhm.
credit cards.
Wow. Okay. So this isn't something that I guess somebody can do on their own, but there's actual strategy here in how to approach this and which cards to get first and which
Yeah.
and to go. I love the idea of going for the Visa first and then the MasterCard and then the American
Yeah,
Express.
people can do it on their own, but they won't get the high limits that we get. They won't know about all the payment
Right.
services. They'll be able to prove to
Mhm.
themselves that the process works. But once they're ready for the high
Right.
limit cards and they're ready for an ease of
Mhm.
use and to proper merging, then they come to
Yeah.
us and we get them to larger limits.
Right. So, from the people that are doing it themselves before they come to you, what is that biggest rookie mistake that, investors make with business credit that, either keeps them from getting the big limits or gets them flagged or
Oh,
shut
that's a
down?
great question. So all the time, people try to copy what we're doing, and they watch the videos and they go and they
Mhm.
do it. And
I could do it on
yes,
my
and what
own.
they do is they end
Mhm.
up going with products from different banks that
Mhm.
actually show up on their credit
Uh-huh.
report. So when it shows
Yeah.
up on your credit report, it hurts your credit report. So let's say that you
Oh,
have a $10,000 card. And of course, for our clients, we're
mhm.
getting them 50, 80, $100,000 cards. But just for the sake of the
Mm.
numbers to keep it simple, a $10,000 card,
Yeah.
we don't want to go over $3,500 of that limit. If this is a personal credit card showing up on my personal credit
Mhm.
report, I can only use
Right.
$3,500 or 35% of that $10,000 limit. So
Yeah.
that means I can only use 35% of the limits of my personal cards before it starts to pull my
Uh-huh.
scores down. If I want to continue this business card stacking process, I have to make sure that my personal scores stay high. A lot of people they apply for these cards, they think that they're business cards. They don't realize the lenders they're working with
Mhm.
just report it right to your personal credit report anyway. We have a whole collated
Yeah.
database of all the different places that are not going to report. With Chase, some of their business products report, some of them don't. And so we know which ones are going to report. We know which ones are not going to report,
Mhm.
and we're going
Yeah.
to apply for ones that are going to most strategically help the client build on the business side. There's even other companies out there that you can go with. They're like, "Whoa, we'll get you way more funding than Fund and Grow," and they're right.
Yeah.
They'll apply for you for 10 personal credit cards. They'll get you all this personal credit
Oh.
cards, and if you use it, you're straight screwed. You will never be able to
Oh my.
refinance out of it. We have clients that have tried that, and they come to us, and they're like,
Mhm.
well, the credit stacking process works kind of. And it's like, no, not on
Yeah.
personal. That's not the way it works. We don't recommend that you go out and use a lot of personal credit cards because you're going to tank your score. So that's unfortunately something that happens. And then we have to help some investors
Yeah.
work out of that situation.
Oh my goodness. So for people that are just starting, you can help them like work through whatever personal issues they have so that you can get that straight and then you can kind of use that as a launching off point.
Many clients are in a good situation as is. Maybe we might need to
Mhm.
merge a couple of their personal credit cards together, which gives them larger limits. And they then, if they have a tiny
Oh,
little balance on either of the cards, now the limits are higher, so they don't even have to pay it off because you've just merged it and you've put the
right.
limits higher. And so there's a variety of
Mhm.
things that we're going to do to help the client before we ever even apply. So we have
Yeah.
an extensive negotiation process. The bread and butter of what Fund and Grow does is the negotiation process that we walk our clients through. So we put all the
Mhm.
applications through for them to make sure that we're going to the right places. But then we have this process which allows us to increase by 2/3. By 2/3. So last month we got
Wow.
18.7 million. Out of that, 5 million was from auto approvals
Mhm.
and
Uh-huh.
13.7 came from the negotiation process. That is so 2/3 of all the credit that's coming in is coming from us
Yeah.
showing the client how to interact with the underwriter, how to send them an email, how to send them
Mhm.
a text, how to interact with them to tell them what they need to tell them in order to get these
Yeah.
approved. Literally 2/3 of the credit comes in from our consultative
That's amazing.
communication of what we're teaching the client to communicate with the underwriter. That's how important your communications with the
Yeah.
banks are. They could just approve you for a huge limit, or decline you. It's all based on the way
Yeah.
it's presented and the way that you communicate with them. Now, there's other companies out there that will literally impersonate you. Like, hi, this is
Mm.
David Old. You know, and they literally are calling the banks, they're impersonating you.
Mhm.
And so instead of
Yeah.
teaching the client how to do it legally, they're doing it
Right.
illegally, like these other companies
Yeah.
that FTC shut down. And so we
Mhm.
we want to make sure that our clients are being fully protected as well as our affiliates.
Right. I think that's absolutely amazing. So, guys, this is not something that you should try to do on your own. Honestly, I wouldn't even know how to call, even though you've told me, you just explained it to me. I still don't think I could walk in the office and call American Express or Chase or Citi or Bank of America and figure out how to merge those cards. So, if this is something that you're looking at doing correctly, my advice would be call Fund and Grow. I have some friends who have run tremendously successful businesses like Nick Perry who have used Fund and Grow to like their business is built off of the credit cards. And if you follow Nick, he will show you like his 52 deck card of all of his
Yeah.
credit cards. So highly recommend you guys jump on here. When they go to this link, what will they
So
find, Ari?
when they go to the link that's on the screen, they're going to go to a
Mhm.
pre-qualification page. So they're going to be able to put their information in without even putting a date of birth or social security number. And it's going to
Yeah.
give them a immediate soft pre-qualification. So it's not going to put a
Oh,
hard pull on
nice.
their credit report. It's not going to leave a pesky
Uh-huh.
inquiry. It'll be a soft pull
Yeah.
to look at their report and to
Mhm.
see how much business credit cards you would qualify for right now and how much you would get over the
Uh-huh.
course of the membership. And if you don't qualify,
Nice.
it'll tell you what to do to qualify. For example, if a pay down is needed or if you need credit repair or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be, it'll give you that as a readout. Then below that,
Yeah.
there's a calendar tool that will pop up. Now, anybody that books a
Uh-huh.
calendar tool is going to get a free business credit consultation, even if you don't qualify for what we
Awesome.
do. We'll point you in the right
Uh-huh.
direction so that hopefully one day you do qualify and you'll come back to us.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, man. Last word for investors and why they should build their business credit and how important that can be for
Well,
them.
that question makes me think of why I left my corporate job and strayed
Yeah.
out into the field of entrepreneurship, which I'm so ever grateful for, so thankful for, because it's just so
Mhm.
completely changed my life. And when I think about it, like all the things that we learned about in school, like back hundreds of years ago, the average American
Mm.
was a business owner. They were a
Right.
farmer, they did woodworking, they did trading, they directly presented their wares to the market. Most. Now, fast
Mhm.
forward hundreds of years and everybody works for these massive corporations.
Right.
You and me, it seems that our mission is to bring people back to their own center of power, for them to
It's true.
be in charge of their own life again. And that means being in charge of your finances, in charge of a business. A business is a perfect tool to make you financially independent, to make your family financially independent. It ripples out into your community, it affects so many different people. And Fund and Grow is at the core, the basement of building of all of these
Yeah.
different businesses, every single one, whether it be real
Yeah.
estate businesses, Amazon, e-commerce stuff. And we've helped
Mhm.
so many, over 30,000 small businesses
Wow.
get about, like you mentioned on the beginning of the call, about 2 billion in credit
Mhm.
cards. Business
Yeah.
credit cards on average 250,000, and it's making such a
Mm.
big difference. It's like I think that every person should venture out from their corporate job and become an entrepreneur.
100%.
Good. I was raised in the Amish. And then I come out into the
Yeah.
world and I'm like, wait, what's going on? They taught me money was evil and bad and all that. I had to change my
Yeah.
thinking a lot. And that
Yeah.
was a beautiful thing for me because it allowed me to see the immense opportunity. So much opportunity. You can come out as coming from the Amish is like moving from a third world country. You have a horse and a buggy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
being a little facetious, but it's you basically have nothing. And I know if I can do
Yeah.
this in America and using tools
Mhm.
that the banks so generously give us, like other people's money, like these business credit cards,
Yeah.
then I know all of these entrepreneurs can do it.
Wonderful. Ari, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. You're dropping absolute bombs of knowledge here. And you guys are absolutely so foundational for so many people that I know in the real estate business. And as far as I know, you're literally the number one recommended person for, building credit and business credit cards. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
popping on.
having me, David.